Hey crafty friends, it's Maria with MTaylor Creations. Thanks so much for coming back to check out my latest creation. Today I am creating a bright and cheery birthday card for a loved one. And so I just start out with the different products that I have planned on using. So just kind of sorting through those and making sure I've got the items that I want to use for this project. Okay, and so just pulling out the die that I plan to use as well as the stamps and the dies from that floral set as well as the embossing folder. Just kind of setting that off to the side and getting ready to start here. I'm going to bring in my Misty platform. I'm going to go ahead and place down a panel of white cardstock. This is just an A2 sized 4¼ by 5½ sized panel of white cardstock, and just going ahead and placing the stamps, and this is from Alex Syberia from our Hearts stamp and die set. And then I will use Memento Tuxedo black dye ink. I do plan to alcohol marker color in just a bit, and so just going ahead and stamping this down. And I will stamp it a couple of times. I need to re-ink my pad here, but I'll go ahead and stamp it a few times, and then that way it can be drying while I'm working on some other parts of the card. And I did want one additional flower, and so I'll go ahead and clean off those stamps and then add one additional flower. Set those off to the side. And then I've pulled out the word love from that same stamp set, going ahead and I prepped that with my anti-static tool as well. And then I used my VersaFine Clair Nocturne pigment ink to stamp that, since I plan to heat emboss that just with some gold powder from my stash. Went ahead and heat embossed that, trying to show the shine there from the heat embossing. Okay, and then I did want to die cut that. It comes with a die cut that's really close. And so because I went ahead and heat embossed that first, I did want to line that up perfectly. And so what I do is just go ahead and cut out an extra die cut first, and then that way I can line up the spacing, love heat embossed area that I want to die cut, and so then I can make sure that it's going to cut exactly where I want it to cut. Okay, and then I just die cut one additional die cut of the sentiment here, and then I'll just go ahead and glue these and stack them on top of one another for some extra dimension. And then here I'll go ahead and start gluing the sentiments together. I'm just using Barely Art precision glue. This has a really nice fine tip, and it's just really easy to flow when I'm working on small areas like this. And then I'll bring in just a stamping block to place on top of that. Alright, it's just showing you how I keep my glue. I just have some plastic cups, and then I've got a piece of fun foam at the bottom, and then I just keep my glue stored upside down, and that helps keep the glue ready to go without it clogging. And I just took a piece of pink cardstock from my stash and embossed it with Simon Says Stamps the dotted diamond embossing folder. Okay, so from here I'm going to go ahead and start coloring. I'll zoom in some, but I'll just add some music in order to let you watch me color. Okay, we'll go ahead and get started back now with die cutting. I've pulled out Simon Says Stamp's Arched Scallop die set, and I am showing just the shimmer from the shimmer cardstock that I chose to use from my stash. And I also die cut this a couple more times out of just some plain white cardstock. And I will go ahead and stack the arches with two pieces of cardstock behind the shimmer cardstock, and then just kind of dry fitting this here, seeing what I might like. Okay, just gluing those die cuts together at this point. Okay, and then in order to tape the arches and the background together, just using some regular Scotch tape to bring that together. Just choosing a couple places throughout the die cuts to glue that together, and this will just be a lot easier to adhere to the pink background. Okay, so just making sure that that sits down into that tape. All right, I'm going to just bring in my ATG here to just adhere the pink panel to an A2 sized card base, and then added the scalloped arch to the top of the pink panel. And now I'm just adding some foam tape to the cluster of the floral, and then I just centering that at the top of the arch. And now I'll bring in that love die sentiment. Trying to figure out where I want that. And then I did bring in another stamp set. This is Simon Says Stamps Let's Celebrate stamp set. The word birthday, and I just cut that out with my trimmer in order to finish that sentiment as birthday love. Okay, and then I did use the Waffle Flower Inside Sentiments Birthdays stamp set to finish off the inside of the card. And now I'm just using some of Tim Holtz Idea-ology metallic droplets to finish off with some embellishments throughout the arched area. Okay, so now I'll just show a couple of close-ups of the final card. I hope you enjoyed today's project, and if you haven't yet, please subscribe and like this video.